The last announcement I want to make for our group is so I thought I would first explain like how this whole idea of mirrors started for me so that it just helps lay the foundation of understanding. But I was looking through some old photos last week of my dog. He has now been gone for 2 years. And, you know, when I came across this one little photo, and it was so precious because he had his head out the window. We were driving down the street and he was just happy as could be, right? And he's sitting in my lap, so I can see his reflection in the mirror, but all I can see of him physically is the back of his head. And so I pulled out my phone and I snapped a photo of the mirror so that I could capture that cute little joyful moment, right? But it was just a reflection. And as I sat there last week just looking at this photo, I started to kind of think, it's funny how mirrors work, right? How sometimes they don't just reflect what's right in front of us, they can capture an angle that we didn't see otherwise. Right. And I'll be honest with you, my brain kind of went down a complete rabbit trail when I was going through these thoughts. And so I'm introducing you to my brain right now and how I work with the Lord. But you see, something super simple. God, he starts unpacking layer after layer for me. And that's exactly what happened in this situation. It kind of just got me thinking all about those mirrors that we look into every single day, and not just the one that's in your bathroom. There are invisible mirrors from our past, our roles, our regrets, our relationships, right? Things that reflect. And so today I kind of want to go deep with you. And I hope that's okay because I want to talk about these mirrors and how they've been shaping what you believe about yourself. But before we dive in, I do want to remind you that I have made a simple workbook to go with today's talk. And so it's in the files section of the Making Life Beautiful Again Facebook group. And so go grab it if you want to go deeper on this topic, okay? All right. So after that rabbit trail that I went down about those mirrors with the Lord, I started kind of realizing like this isn't just about reflections that we're seeing with our eyes, right? It's about the reflections that we carry inside, the ones we measure ourselves up against. And it's kind of like living in a hall of mirrors. Those ones at the carnival, those fun houses where, well, I don't know that you could actually call them fun houses, but uh, where every mirror is showing you a different angle of yourself or a distorted version of yourself, right? And after a while, you get very disoriented and you don't know which way is out, right? You just keep kind of bumping into the glass, turning in circles, trying to find something that feels true and real. And honestly, isn't that how it feels in midlife sometimes? You look in one mirror and you see yourself as a mom, right? And immediately a guilt might show up where you think, I wasn't patient enough with them, or I missed out on too much, or did I do enough, right? And then you turn around and you start glancing in another mirror, right? This could be the wife mirror. And these questions start bombarding your brain, like, was I supportive enough? Do I give enough? Did I lose myself somewhere along the way? And then you might bump into a career mirror, right? I should be further along by now. And I've worked so hard, so why do I feel so left behind, right? And then what about maybe the friend mirror, right? Have I been there enough, or did anybody even notice of all that I gave to help them? Would anyone show up for me the way I've showed up for them? And after you've had all these bombarding thoughts, it can get super exhausting. And then you stand in front of all these mirrors and you're just kind of looking at all of them at once, trying to kind of figure out like which one's the real me. But here's what really hit me when I was having this moment with the Lord. When you're actually in that hall of mirrors, the real question isn't like which reflection is the real me. The real question is, how do I get out of this mess? How do I get out of here? Because it is designed to keep you stuck, to keep you confused, to keep you disoriented, to doubt yourself. Okay. And that's when I thought, like, what if the way out isn't something that you figure out on your own? And this is really good, guys. What if there's a voice calling your name? from the exit? What if God Himself is saying, hey, daughter, this way, follow me. Let me show you who you really are. Let me show you the way out of this disorientation so that you can come out on the other side with clarity, right? So that you can see the light, you can see the sunshine again. And so He wants you to remember who you are, right? And this hall of mirrors, they don't know who you are. It's just a reflection of distortion. And so He's saying, I know your name. And when you step out of this hall of mirrors, here's the sad part. A lot of us are still carrying around one of the sneakiest mirrors of all. Okay. That little magnifying mirror, the compact mirror, right? That zooms in way in on those tiny flaws. And I know you know what I'm talking about, right? But these little magnifying mirrors, whether it's in your bathroom or in your purse, the kind that zooms in, right? So close that you can literally see every pore. Like, I swear those mirrors should come with a warning label, right? And here's what happens. You go in to check your makeup or put on mascara or whatever it is, and suddenly you find yourself leaning in, obsessing over this one little thing. You notice a wrinkle that you didn't see before. You notice a gray hair. I have a lot of those starting to come in, or a stray hair, right? That your skin, it's not smooth, or it's looking dull, duller than it used to be. And suddenly you find yourself having these spiral thoughts. And nothing's actually changed from when you walked into the bathroom to look in that mirror, but your focus has changed. And that tiny mirror, all it did was hijack your entire mood for the day, right? Isn't that exactly how we treat ourselves in life too? I mean, we zoom way in on one moment, one regret. You might say, like, why did I say that? They probably think I'm a terrible person, or, that time that I messed up with my kids, they're going to remember that forever, right? Like, we tell ourselves these stories, or what about this story about our bodies? Like, if I could just fix this, then maybe I'd finally feel beautiful, right? We zoom in so far, we lose sight of the whole picture. And so last week I talked about how comparison helps us lose sight. And so this week we're talking about mirrors and how we lose sight of that whole woman in front of us. And here's the truth. Nobody else is looking at you that closely. Nobody else is replaying those moments, that one bad moment. Nobody is cataloging and listing out all your flaws, right? Your kids, they don't remember when that one time you raised your voice. Like, they remember who made them feel safe when they felt scared, right? Your friends, same thing. They don't remember every time that you slip up. Like, they remember when you showed up, right? And God, He's not standing there like with a magnifying glass over all your flaws. Like, that's not how He does things, right? Psalm 103, it says this: He removes our sins as far as the east from the west, which totally means He's not zooming in on all of your flaws. So why are you doing that? Right? He sees you in your fullness, your wholeness. Like, He sees the beauty of you in the whole picture. So maybe it's time to start putting down that magnifying mirror. And I'm not meaning literally, of course, right? Like, we need it to apply our makeup, but stop staring at the tiny things that you wish you could change. Start stepping back into a position where you can see the whole woman that God created. Because here's the thing, some of the most beautiful parts of you aren't even visible in a mirror at all, right? They're in your blind spots. And that's what I want to talk to you about next. But a quick heads up, I just want to remind everyone I'm teaching a face exercise workshop on Saturday, August 30th, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. It pairs perfectly with doing that inner work without obsessing in that magnifying mirror, right? You can save your seat at www.makinglifebeautifulagain.com. But okay, Let's go ahead and talk about those blind spots. You know, when you're driving and you think you've checked your mirrors, but suddenly, like, you're like, whoa, there's a car right beside you that you totally missed and you couldn't see. Life works like that too, right? Because we have all have blind spots, right? When it comes to ourselves, there are parts of you that are so beautiful and so radiant, but you don't even see them, right? You're too focused on what you think is wrong, so you miss what's right in front of you, or rather, in this case, if it's a side view mirror, right beside you, right? Maybe you look in the mirror and all you notice is like, I've aged. My skin isn't what it used to be. Or you replay in your mind, I've wasted too much time. I should be further along by now. Or maybe it's that nagging voice in your head that's saying, I'm not enough compared to her. So meanwhile, other people, they're seeing something totally different, right? Because they get to see the whole picture of you. They see the way your kids still call you when they need comfort, even though they don't live in your home anymore. They see the strength it took for you to survive heartbreak and still show up for your life. They see that light in your eyes when you talk about something that you love and you're passionate about. You don't see it, but they do, right? So here's the thing, some of the most beautiful qualities, your kindness, your resilience, your wisdom, will never show up in a bathroom mirror. They live in your blind spots. And sometimes it takes people who you love or who love you or the God who made you, right, to point them out to you so you can finally believe they're real. And if you're realizing that you need help here identifying those blind spots and you don't have somebody to do that with, email me at michelle@michelledayrose.com and we'll set up a session to spot those areas that you're blind to that already radiate how beautiful you are. That's one of my most favorite things on the planet, is to help people see how beautiful they are. Okay? But Psalm 139, it says, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And it doesn't say, except those parts that you can't see, right? It means all of you, all of you. God sees those angles that you've been missing out on. He sees the beauty where you have been, and you see them as flaws. And he's been whispering all along how beautiful and how much he adores you, right? So maybe the invitation today isn't to stare harder in that mirror, but to start asking God, what do you see in me? Because once you start seeing through his eyes, everything shifts, right? Which brings us to that last and most important mirror of all, right? The one that actually tells you the truth about who you are. And I'm excited to be going there. So after all these mirrors we've talked about, I want to ask you this, like, which one should you really be looking into? Because the Hall of Mirrors, they leave you confused, right? The magnifying mirror, it made you feel not enough. The blind spots hid your beauty from you. But there's one mirror that doesn't distort, it doesn't magnify, and it doesn't miss anything, right? And it's not hanging on your bathroom wall. So what is it, right? The truest mirror is found in your Father's eyes, in the reflection of his eyes. So when you look at him and you're sitting so close that you can see your reflection in his eyes, that is the woman he designed, right? And it's not a woman you're going to want to criticize or compare anyone with. It's one that he delights in you. And you can see that twinkle in his eyes when you're looking that close, right? Because if we're honest, a lot of us walk away from our mirrors thinking, I've completely lost myself. Like, I don't measure up. My best years are behind me. But when God looks at you, he never sees failure stamped across your forehead. He never sees that you're too late. He sees these titles, these reflections, daughter, masterpiece, mine, right? How exciting is that? So in 2 Corinthians 3:18, it says that as we behold him, we are transformed into his image from glory to glory, right? And in other words, the more you look at him in the reflection of his eyes, the clearer you'll see who you are, right? Not distorted, not diminished, but radiant because you're reflecting his glory, like Moses when he came off the mountain and he was reflecting God's glory, right? So here's what I want you to do tonight. When you stand in front of your mirror at home, brushing your teeth or washing your face, whatever it is, I want you to stop for just a moment. Look yourself in the eyes, and instead of scanning for flaws, I want you to whisper this prayer to the Lord or shout it if you want to, right? God, help me see what you see, right? Because that's the mirror that matters. That's the one that brings clarity, sunshine, peace, right? And when you start to see yourself through his reflection, you can't help but fall in love with that woman in the mirror because she is his, right? So if this conversation has spoken to you at all today, I want you to step out of the halls of confusion, right? Put down that magnifying glass, trust the blind spots that everybody tells you about. And remember, your worth has never been measured by a mirror. It's been settled since the very beginning, right? And I'd love for you to join us next week when we will be talking about from tired to toned, energy boosting moves for midlife women. And so I will see you guys there.